So he was the first booth on the right?
Next time you tell me, listen, Brian's son.
All right, you guys ready? Good evening. Today is May the 9th, Tuesday, May 9th. This is the Lawrence City Budget and Finance Committee. The record reflects the Council President, Kendra Vasquez, is here, Vice Chairman David Abdu, and voting member Brian DePena are all absent. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
All present.
All present.
All present.
No. Present.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to apologize, committee members, for my lateness this evening. I do appreciate your patience and greatly appreciate it. Let's start right off the bat with document number 16717, appropriation transfer, Lawrence Fire Department. Chief thank you, Moriarty.
Yes, sir. Fitz Moriarty. This is simply a moving of money from our severance section in our budget, where we were planning for retirements that luckily for us this year did not happen, to move it into our medical bills, where we had a lot of fairly serious injuries this year, so it's just to help us cover the bills. We had a number of shoulders and knees operated on this year.
So it's a move,
Simply moving from our severance, where guys did not retire, but we had planned on it, to cover them, over to medical bills where we had many injuries.
so in our budget, if you have it here, we've got a fire department administration, severances, is it on there? Severance pay? Severance pay? Which is 5146, that's right.
Correct.
And to medical bills, which is 5384,
Correct.
which is not on that line. But on the next page, it's under fire suppression operations as opposed to administration. Are there any questions by the committee on this matter?
Mr. Chair, through you, Mr. Chair.
Kendras? No, Mr. Vasquez.
Chief, can you please describe how this incidents happen? You know, the life of each and every one of our firefighters is very important, and is there a way to prevent it?
Well, most of them were injured at fires or getting on or off fire trucks. One firefighter is out long-term, still is recovering from the Summer Street fire. Another firefighter had his knee rebuilt after many years. He's one of what I think one of the toughest guys I know, for a very kind heart. He had his knee rebuilt and was back to work in 4 months with a complete rebuild. I have another firefighter deputy who's out, who had both his knee and his shoulder done at the same time so he could cut down on time, but he injured them both this winter in a severe fall in the ice. I had a firefighter who, at the East Haverhill and Prospect Street fire, fell down a flight of stairs, and we were all horrified thinking he broke his neck and was hurt quite seriously, and he got up and kind of shook it off, had a bloody nose, went to the hospital, but it turned out he had injured his shoulder in the fall, was out for a while, didn't need to be rebuilt, but now he's undergoing some dental work because, unbeknownst to us at the time, he broke the front 2 teeth up in his gums, and it took a month or so for them to fall out. So those are some of the injuries. I didn't bring a list of all of them, but those are some of the ones we're currently dealing with.
Okay, thank you. Is there any preventive measures that we are utilizing to prevent?
Well, we want everybody to work out and stay in shape, but unfortunately, a lot of what we do is dangerous, and we go in all times of the year, winter and snow and ice. Firefighters slipping on the ice, falling downstairs, it's unfortunately one of the hazards we do. We do try to teach everybody to wear all their protective gear all the time, which is a help and a hindrance at the same time. When you're inside fighting a fire, the air pack and all that gear is protecting you from the elements of the fire, but it also makes it difficult to see what you're doing. And you fog up fast in the water and blocks your vision. So unfortunately, injuries do happen in our job. Luckily, so far, it's only been injuries.
Thank you. No, I appreciate the work that the fire department does on each one of the firefighters, so I strongly support this. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Chief.
Okay, Chair is awaiting a motion.
Make a motion to recommend to the full council, send to the full council with our recommendation.
Motion is made to send to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Second?
And seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thanks. Chief, you're here for another item as well, document 16817, the acceptance of a FM Global Fire Prevention Program grant, the sum of $5,000. Chief.
Yes, sir. I have a very proactive lieutenant in fire prevention, Lieutenant Armano. Took it upon himself to search out some grants to help fire prevention, and he reached out to FM Global, who is a commercial fire insurance company. They only do commercial, they don't do residential. And a lot of what they do is into research and fire reaction, how things burn, how to put them down. They minimize fire loss. They do a lot of how fast would that desk burn and how fast would that chair burn, and the way we could have materials that would be less dangerous. And they also reach out to fire departments and provide grants. And the fire prevention is responsible for all our inspection and documentation, permitting, and this grant was written and so that we could get field use of iPads or computers with hotspots and be able to real-time document their inspections. We're hoping to also get some Bluetooth smaller portable printers so that right then and there, when we inspect the place, we can issue them a permit, or we can issue them a denial of the permit with references to the codes that they have failed live, not have to go back to the station and document it. It would all happen automatically. We simply move on to the next one. So that's what this grant will be used for. There is no match for this grant. It is just a generous one. 100% of the $5,000 goes to us, so we don't have to match anything.
Any questions from members of the committee? Is there a motion?
Motion to send up to the full council with a favorable recommendation?
Motion made.
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you very much.
Best wishes next week, Chief.
I'm sorry?
Best wishes next week.
Oh, thanks.
The next document is the document 17217, Airport Department Garage Roof Repair Safety and Maintenance Program Grant. I'm going to say this only because I can. Project number 2017-LMW-17. Grant number LWM-ROF-CON for $104,000. Airport Manager Michael Miller. Good evening, Mr. Miller.
Mr. Chairman, Michael Miller, Airport Manager, through you to the rest of the committee. That dollar figure has actually increased. Since the submission of the grant assurances, we opened up bids and determined that the cost for the new garage roof was going to be in excess of the original program cost. So I contacted the Commonwealth, and MassDOT has agreed to increase their grant amount. So the new amount will be $120,800. It doesn't affect the assurances which are before you this evening. They are, regardless of the dollar value, as a condition of the grant, as before when I was down here in March, the state requires the city and the Airport Commission to accept the standard form grant assurances. Before you this evening, requesting the city's acceptance and authorization for the mayor to sign on behalf of the city. The commission reviewed and authorized the chairman last April's meeting, so they'll be signed once we get through the city process by the chairman of the Airport Commission as well.
So I said a lot of letters and numbers. You said a lot of words. All we're talking about is replacing a roof.
We're replacing a roof.
pretty
It's
much
been a
it.
long,
All right.
long process, but we're replacing a roof. It's a 3,000 square foot garage roof. It's on the old side of the maintenance garage built in the 50s. Right now, there are holes in it, and it's raining inside the building every time it rains outside.
Motions or discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Abadu?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Miller, could you just repeat the new dollar amount one more time?
The new construction cost will be $151,000. Of that, $120,800 will be coming from the state. The balance, $30,200, is already programmed in our budget. This is a project that we funded through the budget process last year, and we'll be able to make up the increase that wasn't anticipated, the $6,200, from our ordinary operating budget that was appropriated last year.
Thank you, Mr. Miller, I appreciate it. I have no further questions or comments.
How about a motion?
Motion to send item number 17217 to the full council with our recommendation.
Motion is made and seconded. Another quick question. If you didn't get this grant, would the DPW be required to go ahead if it got really, really bad to go fix that roof?
No, actually, the airport commission would have to pay for that. It would have to come out of the airport revenues, so we'd be on the hook for picking up the total cost.
Okay,
So it's saving the airport $120,000.
got it. Very good. Motion's been made, it's been seconded. There's no further discussion. I'll call the question, except for Mr. Vasquez.
Yeah, Councilor Abdu, will you mind amending the motion to include an amendment in our document to include the new amount?
To amend it to $151,000.
No, $120,800.
I will accept that amendment.
Okay, so are we clear? So the amendment here is to accept the entire money that's been increased, $120,800?
That's the current grant that will be, yes.
That's for the grant that we're going to be accepting. Okay, and it's been approved by obviously by the Airport Commission as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilor Abdu.
Are we all clear there on the number? Okay, good. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Thank you, councilors.
All right, thank you. You're welcome. Any other matters you want to talk about tonight, gentlemen? Nope.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it.